In accordance with the North Carolina Fire Prevention Code, the council chambers are equipped with 5 emergency exits, 2 on the upper level, 2 on the intermediate level, and 1 on the lower level. These exits are identified by the illuminated exit signs above each door. At this time, please locate the emergency exit nearest you and use this exit in the unlikely event of an emergency. The meeting will begin shortly. Please silence your cell phones. Thank you.
Call to order the May 23rd meeting of the Cary Town Council. If you look at the dais this evening, you'll know that there are 5 of us instead of 7, but our other 2 council members are here with us virtually. I'm going to call on them in just a moment. Just so you know, you can attend the council meeting virtually if you are a member of council, but you cannot vote. So they will be participating, but they will not be included in the votes. So at this time, I'll call on each of them. First, I'll call on Councilmember Bush. Are you there? Can you hear us?
I am here. Thank you.
Okay, we can hear you as well. And then Councilmember Con Johnson, can you hear us?
I sure can. Thank you, Mayor.
Wonderful. All right, so we'll now move to our next agenda item, which is the ceremonial opening, and I'll recognize our Mayor Pro Tem for that opening.
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor. All right, at the beginning of the month, we received a request to recognize May as ALS Awareness Month. And while the proclamation has been provided, the folks who wanted to receive it are not here tonight. But I wanted to highlight a few points of information about ALS so that everybody is aware of it this month. ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, is a fatal neuromuscular disorder that causes total paralysis and death, and it has no cure. The patients who experience ALS remain mentally sharp, but they lose voluntary muscle control, requiring continuous care from caregivers, family, and those caregivers are often family members, and they lose the ability to walk, talk, and breathe. So it's really a pretty horrific experience to go through. Research shows that military veterans are more likely to develop and die from ALS than non-veterans. So that is also particularly relevant as we observe Memorial Day this month. So wanted to bring awareness to that, and we do have a proclamation which we have delivered to the group that asked for it. In addition to that, I encourage everyone here and those watching to attend our upcoming Memorial Day events that we have planned on Monday, May 27th. And we have 2 events that we attend. The first one is the Cary American Legion Post 67 event at the Hillcrest Cemetery, and that happens in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we have the Cary's Memorial Day observance ceremony at the Veterans Freedom Park. And I passed by there today, and all the flags are up. So I believe, the Boy Scouts join in with others to put, hundreds of flags out there, and it looks fantastic. Both of these events feature our veteran on the council, Jack Smith. And so at this time, I would like to ask if we have any veterans in the audience to please stand up, and let's give a round of applause to everyone who has made a sacrifice and served. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all that you've done for our country. And Jack, we appreciate you for the service that you've provided. At this time, let's pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Takes us into recognitions, reports, and presentations. And at this time, I'll recognize our town manager for his update.
Thank you, Mayor. For those who will be staying in or coming to Cary for the Memorial Day weekend, we'll be hosting a wide array of special activities and events, some of which Jennifer just had mentioned. Our annual Summerfest concert series with the North Carolina Symphony kicks off tomorrow night at Cocoa Booth Amphitheater. On Friday and Sunday, the Division I NCAA Women's Lacrosse National Championship will be held at Wake Med Soccer Park. And again, and on Monday, we'll hold our Memorial Day Remembrance Ceremony at Veterans Freedom Park. Most town facilities are closed that day for the national holiday, and I know the council joins me in thanking all the staff who will be working over the weekend and on that day to make these events happen. Finally, solid waste collection will be one day later this week, with nothing being collected on Monday. Details for everything I've mentioned are detailed on our website at carync.gov. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stiegel. We now move to Public Speaks Out. We've included instructions for speaking Public Speaks Out online and on the printed agenda. And there are 3 opportunities for you to participate in Public Speaks Out, either through written comments, calling in, or attending here in person this evening. And if you're here in person and would like to speak, I would ask that you please take a seat in the rows that are highlighted so that we know how many there are and we can be efficient in getting our speakers to the podium. Public Speaks Out speakers have 3 minutes each for their comments. Speakers may speak on any town-related topic as long as it's not a public hearing, and that is to your benefit. You get more time at a public hearing. The 3-minute time limit will be enforced, not to be rude, but to be fair to all of our speakers. There's a timer on the podium. It'll start with a green light. When there's 30 seconds remaining, it will turn yellow. And when it flashes red, that's the point I'll interrupt you again, not trying to be rude, but trying to be fair to all of our speakers. I thank everyone in the audience for understanding that this is a business meeting. Please do not applaud, make remarks from your seats, or anything else that may distract from this meeting. So now's the time for Public Speaks Out, and I'll first call on the clerk for any written comments and any registered speakers.
We had no written comments, but 2 registered speakers, the first being Don Thomas, followed by Patricia Ritzik.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Town Council. My name's Don Thomas. I live on Union Street in Cary. And as we gather here today, the words of Joyce Kilmore still hold true. I think I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree. We all know that so well. These words resonate deeply with the essence of this community and the significance of our tree canopy. I commend the town leaders of Cary for their proactive efforts in highlighting the importance of tree planting to enhance our environment. The annual tree giveaway is a cherished event, eagerly awaited each spring by our residents. In fact, about 3 trees are growing on the campus of Cary High School at this time. But I must share some sobering thoughts with you. A mature tree, standing tall for a century, can store hundreds, at least, tons of carbon in a grove, equivalent to maybe 1,000 commercial airline miles. This underscores the immense value of planting young trees today, as they promise long-term dividends for our future generations. But we cannot just plant for our grandchildren, as those benefits are urgently needed now. Our climate is warming fast. We must act. In just a year, a large old oak tree consumes perhaps 400 times more carbon than a sapling. And I love the saplings. I'm glad they're growing. But the big tree's got to be saved. It may take 40, 50, maybe 60 years of growth to get the same benefit from that new sapling. This highlights the critical role that older trees play in combating climate change, not to mention the shade they provide. Think it was hot today? Take down a few big trees. Hot takes on a whole new meaning. Despite our town's remarkable growth and success, we must acknowledge the toll it takes on our environment. With every new $1 million house, we lose hundreds of tons of invaluable carbon storage, air and water filtration, microclimate moderation, and flood prevention, not to mention erosion control. The creation of new turn lanes and the widening of roads like Maynard underscore the irony of sacrificing our natural assets at the name of quicker access or a quicker trip. Let's explore innovative solutions to preserve our dwindling tree canopy. Let's incentivize homeowners and developers to retain every tree possible, perhaps through subsidies or tax rebates. Can we not explore that possibility? Can we ensure the preservation of wooded lots, recognizing the contributions they make to our ecosystem and biodiversity and neighborhood appeal? I implore you to prioritize the natural life support system, placing it on par with our ambitions for growth and economic prosperity. By providing the right incentives, we can demonstrate our commitment to environmental stewardship, ensuring that future generations inherit a thriving and sustainable community. In closing, Joni Mitchell said it best: pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Should we sacrifice driveway-sized greenway trails?
Sorry, your
Let's
time
work
has
together.
expired.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Next registered speaker is Patricia Ritzik.
Good evening, Town Council members. My name is Patricia Ritzik, and I am here tonight to thank you for the continued publication of the Parks and Recreation Program Guide and to recommend a good neighbor policy when it comes to non-resident fees. Due to COVID, I was not able to thank you in person sooner. Last fall, I asked you to ensure the printed program guide would be included in the new RecTrack system implementation. Within 24 hours, I received a call from Austin Howell, Community Center Programs and Operations Coordinator, and a text that same day indicating that the program guide would be available. The first publication was not perfect, but it did meet the needs of Cary's senior population. Speaking for several of my peers, we are very grateful for that the council listened and took immediate action to make the printed version a reality. We sincerely appreciate the time and effort made by the Parks and Recreation team who produced the publication. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In recent months, however, I have heard rumors about a movement to discontinue the printed program guide. If the general population of Cary no longer wants a publication, then please let me remind you that an abbreviated version consisting of only the senior programs and classes, along with town events, can still satisfy all your mature constituents who do want and need a paper version. There are many seniors who do not do everything online. Please make a commitment for a permanent publication in the future. In the area that we live, we are blessed with an abundance of senior riches. Cary, along with neighboring towns, offer many trips, programs, and classes that enrich our lives daily. I take advantage of activities in both Apex and Morrisville, paying an extra nominal fee to participate. All seniors benefit by this mutual exchange. Recently, I learned it is now Cary's policy to charge non-residents 30% more than residents. On a trip to South Carolina, my Apex friends paid almost $200 more than I did. In addition, the program guide was misprinted, stating the non-resident price was the same as the resident price. RecTrack was later updated to the increased price. There are two injuries here. One, the printed price was not honored and charged, and two, non-residents' costs are excessive. I believe a good neighbor policy should charge a modest increase for non-residents and allow residents to go to the front of the line before non-resident registration. 30% is exorbitant, and it is not the percentage charged by our neighboring municipalities. The right thing to do is to charge the printed price and refund our neighbors, and then adjust the non-resident.
I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you. Your time has expired, but we want to read or hear what you have to say. If you wouldn't mind leaving your comments with the clerk, she'll make sure we get a copy.
Sure.
If that's okay. Thank you. Any
No.
other registered speakers?
No additional registered speakers.
If you're here in the audience and would like to speak at Public Speaks Out, now's your opportunity. Anyone to speak at Public Speaks Out? Seeing no one, we'll close Public Speaks Out, and we'll move to the consent agenda. For the benefit of people watching our meeting on TV, I'll take a moment to review the consent agenda items. Please know that one vote approves all of these items. On the consent agenda, we have 22 REZ 23, Wakena Towns rezoning, 24A02, Green Level West Road annexation, 24A03, terraces at West Cary, updates to PRCR policies. Would council members like any of these items pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now move to public hearings. Same rules apply for public hearings that apply for Public Speaks Out, with one exception. Speakers now have 5 minutes each for their comments. Our first public hearing is for 24A01, Trinity Road Townhouses Annexation. Assistant Planning Director Katie Dry will introduce the item, and council may take action on this item. Ms. Dry.
Good evening, Council. The owners of property at 0 Old Trinity Circle and 0 Trinity Road have petitioned for annexation so that parcels may connect to care facilities and to facilitate the construction of up to 17 residential units, which could be townhouses and/or detached dwellings. The total annexation area is 4.1 acres, which also includes 1.27 acres of intervening right-of-way. The area is contiguous to Cary's corporate limits and within the ETJ. The property is zoned transitional residential conditional use based on rezoning case 22 RAZ 18. In accordance with the ordinance, the property must be annexed before the development plan may be approved. And following the public hearing tonight, council may take action on this request. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dry. At this time, I'll call on the clerk to read any written comments and call on any registered speakers.
No written comments and no registered speakers.
All right, now is the time for the public hearing for 24A01 Trinity Road Townhouses, and I would invite anyone in the audience that would like to speak at this public hearing to the podium. Anyone to speak at this public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing, open it up to council members for questions or comments. If there are neither of those, I would entertain a motion.
No questions.
I have no questions.
Motion to annex?
I will motion to move this forward for annexation.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion. Does Ms. Bush or Ms. Johnson have any comments?
Mayor, this is Lori Bush, and no, I do not have any comments.
Carissa Johnson, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and we had discussion. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Dry. We now move to the second public hearing, budget public hearing on recommended fiscal year 2025 budget. Finance Director Kimberly Branch will present this item, and then we'll open the public hearing. Council will not take action this evening. We'll have further public hearings and work sessions. Ms. Branch.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm excited to be here tonight to hold the first of two public hearings on the fiscal year 2025 recommended budget. To highlight some of where we've been and where we're going, I have a few dates outlined here. We started discussions of the recommended budget during your Q3 meeting on May 2nd. We continued some discussions of budget this afternoon at the work session, and we are conducting our first public hearing here tonight, May 23. We will move into June 10th, where we will continue our discussions of budget and hold our second public hearing, and then we will adopt our budget on June 27th. Let's take a big picture look at the numbers behind fiscal year 2025. And capital combined is $503 million. This is down 3.9% from this year's budget. $384 million of the budget supports the operating budget, which is up 8.9% when compared to this year. This increase is due to the first full year of operations of the downtown park, increased facilities maintenance, and increased debt service, just to name a few. The remaining $119 million supports capital improvement projects identified for the year. This is a 29.9% decrease from the current year. The decline is due largely to the timing of capital allocations in transit and transportation. When reflecting on what this budget does, we would like for you all to know that we are trying to accommodate the shift from a high-growth suburb to maturing community, continues to move forward on priority areas without expanding, and maintains service, my apologies. Accommodates the shift from high-growth suburb to maturing community, continues to move forward on priority areas without expanding, and keeps Cary safe and maintains service and infrastructure at current levels. When looking at the budget key elements, tax increase, that we have a recommended tax rate of 32.5 cents. 1 penny represents $5.1 million. The solid waste fee is proposed to increase by $1 to $23 per month with a cost recovery rate of 92%. Consistent with our financial model for the utility, there is a 3% increase in the utility rate, which is to cover increased costs necessary to provide the safe drinking water that we all enjoy, environmentally responsible wastewater collection and treatment, infrastructure renewal programs, and equipment. We have made available several avenues for citizens to provide input on the budget, including social media, 311, council meetings, and our public hearings. As a reminder, our remaining key dates are June 10th, where we will hold the second public hearing, June 27th, where we will have our adoption of fiscal year 2025 budget. At this time, we'll open the floor for the public hearing. Following the public hearing, I am here for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Branch. So now is the time for the public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 budget. First, I'll call on the town clerk for any written comments and any registered speakers.
Excuse me. We have one written comment and one registered speaker. George McDowell expresses concern over the proposed real property tax rate increase in Cary, arguing that it will significantly impact residents. He urges councils to reconsider the necessity of this increase, highlighting the financial burden it places on residents, including teachers and veterans, and the potential for accelerating gentrification in the area. Our one registered speaker is John Barbender.
Actually, I think I just handed out my, thank you. Hello, my name is John Brabender. Please refer to the handout for data backing my assertions. Point, the budget proposal is increasing residential real estate taxes by more than 46%. $665 per residential property. Point, if Wake County had not revalued to achieve the desired taxes, the property rate would have to be raised to 0.49%. So this is, basically hidden under the revaluation process. Point, budget proposals have been historically inaccurate. Budget revenues over expenditure variance is always a positive amount, with variances up to 20% of the budget revenue. There is notably higher variance on revaluation years. So why are citizens expected to believe these budgetary numbers? Point, town sales tax has not decreased in historical record, yet the budget pretends it will. The 21 budget included a $7 million decrease when it actually increased $6 million in reality. 25 proposal includes a $2.5 million decrease in sales tax. So again, somewhat questioning that value. Point, there is no basis to a must raise rates to this level or cut services statement. The provided data shows the historic inflation adjusted budgetary per capita numbers. The 25 budget is asking for significantly more than any average. As a point of consideration, using a 0.26% rate and assuming other revenue was the same as the 24 budget, we would still yield in excess of the 24 revenues. My wife and I moved here 23 years ago. We raised our family here. We believe, we count that as among our best decisions ever. We love this community. We want what is best for it. For many of us, this increase is not a life-changing event. But for those living on lower fixed income, this is going to drive some hard choices. Our adult, professionally employed children have both decided they cannot live in Wake County because of the cost, let alone Cary, their childhood home. So thank you for listening. Please look at the data. Let me know if there's any questions.
Thank you. Any other registered speakers? If you're here in the audience who would like to speak at this public hearing, now's your opportunity.
Good evening, Council. I am Reverend Wesley Spears Newsom. I'm one of the pastors at Greenwood Forest Baptist Church and a member of the strategy team for One Wake. Many of our members you can see here tonight. I live and work in District B. I want to offer support and encouragement to the Council on this proposed budget and thank staff for their diligent work on this document each and every year as required by the legislature. We know that is a gargantuan amount of work. Specifically, One Wake, Greenwood Forest Baptist Church, and myself in particular want to express gratitude and enthusiasm for the money dedicated to affordable housing in next year's budget. When I used to tell people that part of my job and my work as a minister was with affordable housing in Cary, people would laugh at me. They didn't believe housing in Cary could be for everyone. Housing in Cary was for the wealthy, especially if they were moving here from New England. In the 7 years I've worked at Greenwood Forest with One Wake and alongside Cary town staff, I'm very happy to see that that is changing. First, it was residents of Cary who took notice. They saw a tide turn for the better in our community. One Wake has been there the whole time, advocating and organizing for this change. And the actions of this council and our town staff have made that possible. The actions of this council, now those outside of our town are also taking notice as well. Cary is going to become, I believe, an example of what it is to manage growth for everyone, not just for luxury condos or costly out-of-town businesses and developers. That deserves praise. We are grateful for the work that funds that dedicated to affordable housing have already done in Cary, and we're excited about the work that will be done in the future. Our own faith community is in the process of rezoning our property to allow for affordable housing, and the town of Cary have been wonderful partners in this process. We're excited to see this dedication to all of Cary's residents continue. In addition to the $5.8 million in next year's budget dedicated to affordable housing, we also want you to know that we are enthusiastically supportive of the developing bond referendum discussed at the quarterly, coming for a vote in the fall. The $30 million in that bond for affordable housing will come alongside regular budget money and make a huge difference for many Cary families. The quality of life for everyone in Cary depends on Cary having a place for everyone. And we brought all of these people here tonight to show you that we support you in that endeavor. And that's not to say we don't have work to do, of course. Since I bought my home in Cary, prices have skyrocketed to the point that there is no way that I could afford the home that I live in today. Property taxes are going up, which is, to a degree, necessary. But it's going to hit our most vulnerable residents, as the prior speaker highlighted as well, seniors and low-income residents, and it's going to hit them hard, and we need to consider that. Also, some of the last vestiges of affordable housing in Cary are disappearing, including Chatham Estates Mobile Home Park. And we want to make sure that we continue to prioritize funds to reduce the impact of displacement when we can't prevent it, like in that case. We still have lots of work to do, but even so, I am hopeful about the future because of this council and because of the amazing town staff that we have in Cary. We want you to know that we stand with you on dedicating these funds in the budget and in the future bond. On developing necessary programs as well, we stand with you. One Wake is dedicated to the interests of our member institutions, households, and families, and we're happy to see that you are too. I am proud to live in Cary, and I am optimistic about our future together. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak at this public hearing? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, open it up to council members for questions or comments. Questions or comments from council?
I'll make a quick comment. I mean, I appreciate very much the speakers that have come today. It's really important. The budget is one of the most important things that this council does. And so many years, year after year, we have no speakers that come for public speaks out about it. So I really appreciate the commentary, and I appreciate the work that has been done to take a look at the analysis. So we will seriously study this and take your points under consideration. I will speak for just myself, but maybe others on the council, that this is going to be the hardest budget that we experience in a long time. And some of us are newer to the council, but some of us have been on the council for quite a while. And what we are seeing is something that we expected for a long time, and that's a slowdown in the growth of population in Cary, which has a big impact to our budget, because for years and years and years, the newcomers in Cary, the growth that we've had in population, has kept our budget high. And just when it was starting to decrease, we had these high years of sales tax revenue that kind of propped it up again for a couple more years. But that has also slowed down. So this is a hard budget for us, but we're taking careful consideration throughout the whole process. We are not raising taxes flippantly. We have always said that we would only raise taxes if we absolutely needed to, and we feel like we're in a situation we absolutely need to. The inflation that we're all experiencing that's impacting us at home is impacting this organization in the same manner. Everything costs more, and our citizens have had very high standards. And we're doing initiatives that we think are important to people, such as the affordable housing program and other programs. Those all cost money. So we want you to know that we're taking the budget very seriously, and we're going to step through it carefully.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the table before I get the ones virtually?
I think Mayor Pro Tem Robinson covered it well.
I just wanted to, I'm so sorry, Jack. I just wanted to echo the concern that some of our speakers said about how increasing taxes could affect some of our residents that would have the hardest time paying with an increase. So this is definitely not a decision that any of us take lightly. And as Mayor Pro Tem said, we will definitely look at these numbers and be, I'm quite hopeful we will get a lot more feedback through this process, because our budget should reflect the needs and the desires of our citizens. So please submit comments.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
I think things have been said. I think some of the biggest surprises for many of us is after years of growth, we're fundamentally built out. We don't have that luxury of, I've been here 38 years, and every year I get to thank all those new people that came in and kept the taxes level. Those days are gone. I can say intellectually, as we go through the budget process, I understand all the things we're going through, and we're looking at the must-haves. I think we're looking at the best we can to help all those that are in, have serious need type of thing. And intellectually, I understand that we're going to have a tax increase, but at the same time, we have a heart, and emotionally, this is going to be just a big adjustment as we look at it. And one of the most important things we can do is to continue to get that feedback from each and every one of you out there, the citizens, but also it'll be our responsibility to communicate to you exactly where those funds are being apportioned and where it's going, and that you understand that we're listening to you and we're making sure that we keep the absolute most important priorities first. And the problem with 190,000 people. I probably get 190,000 different priorities. But we know we're going to be protecting our environment. We know what we're going to do is not sacrifice on our services, particularly to our public safety and all of those things that we're one of the few cities in the country that people just truly do feel safe. That doesn't mean we don't have our problems, but we're committed to that public safety and we're committed to the services. And as you said, Jennifer, and all of you, we're working hard on this one to keep it at the most realistic rate we can.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Bush, comments?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I am very grateful for the comments from all of the council members that are there. I know very well that cost increases, the cost increases occurring are due to, our increased investment in addressing the environment and sustainability, our increased costs due to inflation that we're all feeling, honestly, a competitive hiring market, and working to keep the quality of our service levels and so much more. I think the most interesting and important part of this budget conversation is hearing what matters to our citizens, that our values and what we invest in are aligned. And that's absolutely clear if you just look at one item, which is sustainability, where we only invested a couple of years ago a few $100,000 here and there, and now our budget for the environment and sustainability is in the millions. It's because our values align with what we invest in. And I think it is very difficult, as Mayor Pro Tem Robinson said, it's very difficult to look at this year's budget with the same eyes that we've had for the last decade, because we always just use the extra revenues. So this is a difficult conversation, and our citizens are such an important part of this. And I want to say to all of them listening or watching, please weigh in. Let us know what you care about. You are the ones that we report to, and what you give us as feedback absolutely matters. And as you give us that feedback, I think it's also important. I understand it's going to be very difficult, but it's very difficult for us to pick and choose what to remove if we were to do that. And I think that's also a very slippery slope to do that as well, because one citizen might be important to one citizen is obviously going to be important to another one. So I just want to thank staff for their hard work, and we still have a lot of hard work to go until we get to the end. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. Ms. Cohn-Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Primarily, I want to make sure that folks that are paying, some attention here, they understand that our council really is, for the most part, on the same page here, and not, this tax increase is not being done lightly. And I don't want to repeat what's previously been said, but I think the thing from my perspective that hasn't been expressed thoroughly is the level of responsibility, the level of serious consideration that staff does when they're pulling these numbers together. This is really a monumental lift. That was the right, I think, way to sort of put this. The staff, in the 2 years I've been on council now, and as I learn and learn and learn, no one's ever had any difficulty answering any of my questions because everything is reviewed and considered and documented. And that's one thing I'd like to express to any citizens that are listening is I can tell you that I have a great deal of confidence in the integrity and the fiduciary responsibility shown by our staff with this budgetary money. They're being excellent stewards of the taxpayer money, and I just wanted to make sure to just go ahead and say that this is not the staff wants money and we're here to raise taxes to give it to them. In fact, this is council directing policy and taking citizen needs into account, and then staff delivering a really well thought out plan for how to deliver on what they've been asked to do. So that's the one thing I wanted to add to this discussion, but I think everybody really put everything really well.
Thank you. So for those following along, this is the beginning of our involvement in the budget process, and we hope you will get involved as well. We will have another work session on the budget on June the 10th. That's a Monday, not a Thursday, which is an unusual day for us. And then we'll follow that with another council meeting and a public hearing. And the council will adopt the budget on the 27th, so there's plenty of time to provide feedback if you have feedback. All right, we now move to discussion items. The first discussion item and the only discussion item is Cary Urban Forest Master Plan. Assistant Town Manager Dan Alt will introduce the item, and our Urban Forester Leslie Moorman, first time presenter, welcome, will present the staff's report and council may take action. Mr. Alt.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council. Tonight marks an important milestone in Cary's long tradition of caring for the environment and trees. For millennia, community prosperity and overall well-being have been linked with trees. And in Cary, this is manifested in a variety of ways. From our buffers to our public green spaces to achieving the status of Tree City USA in 1984 and every year since that year since. That's 40 years in a row. So imagine those trees that we planted back in 1984 are now 40 years and have witnessed a tremendous amount of prosperity and overall well-being of our citizens right here in Cary. And tonight we are proud to bring forward a plan that will help us continue that delicate balance between the built and natural environment. And before we present it here, I'd like to just offer a few thank yous because it's been a multi-year process in which there's been a lot of support and a lot of input from a lot of people. First, love to thank the community for their support, their encouragement, the comments that all of us have received. We certainly needed their support to get to this point today, but also we will need them to actually implement the plan. Without their help, we won't be able to achieve our objective. The Environmental Advisory Board has been supportive and has endorsed the plan. Chair Mia Smith in particular as well, Mia South in particular. Our council liaison, Jack Smith from the Environmental Advisory Board, thank you very much. Councilmember Lori Bush, who's also attended a variety of meetings, including the one that most recently in which we adopted or they endorsed the plan, and the entire town council for supporting this effort. The town staff, my colleagues, especially Dana Widmore, her entire environmental team, Jimmy Simpson, Katie Rose, who was the town's first urban forester and is now in the private sector, and of course, Leslie Moorman. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Leslie to present the plan. Leslie?
Thank you, Dan. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. As Dan indicated, staff has been working on completing a 10-year strategy for Cary's urban forest, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight to present on and seek council approval for the Cary Urban Forest Master Plan. The process for developing the Urban Forest Master Plan began long ago before I joined Cary. However, I am honored to be taking up the charge. Cary has been a Tree City USA for 40 years, and the trees are deeply rooted in our community. The Urban Forest Master Plan is the next step in fortifying the role of trees and forests in Cary. So how did we get here? A tree advisory committee presented a recommendation report to the Environmental Advisory Board in 2019. Following this, Cary created an urban forestry manager position and conducted a tree canopy assessment, which then led to the start of the Urban Forest Master Plan process. The planning process began with an assessment of our urban tree canopy. This map depicts current tree canopy cover across Cary's planning boundary, including town limits, ETJ, and future planning area. The assessment was completed in 2021 using 2020 satellite imagery, and the green on the map represents our tree canopy, which is not individual trees, but rather the layers of leaves and branches as viewed from above. The non-green areas represent impervious surface, bare soil, and low vegetation. The canopy assessment found that Cary's land area has 51% tree canopy cover, which is above the national average of 40%. Further land use analysis determined that 83% of that tree canopy exists on privately owned land, while Cary owns or maintains approximately 17% of the tree canopy. When we take the canopy cover data and move it into smaller management blocks, in this case census blocks, we are better able to target strategies across Cary. The blocks in darker green are indicating greater tree canopy, and the light greens and yellows are census blocks with less tree canopy cover. As you can see, some census blocks have more than 70 to 80% tree canopy cover, while others are experiencing less than 50%. Using imagery from 2010, we were able to calculate canopy cover change over time. Canopy cover isn't always just about loss. It's important to know where there is no to little change, as well as where you have increasing canopy, so that you can determine causation and areas of greatest impact. We are still analyzing the causes of this canopy cover change, determining if it is from new development, infill development, weather impacts, tree planting, or maturing canopy. Once the tree canopy assessment was completed, it was time to begin planning where we wanted Cary's urban forestry program to go and what our priorities were. Working with a consultant, we held internal staff meetings and multiple community meetings and public engagement efforts. Ultimately, we focused the master plan around 3 primary goals, and I'll go into each one of those in more detail next. First, Cary wants to not only steward our urban trees and forests, we want to grow it. We will be in great shape if we stay at the 51% tree canopy cover, but we're looking for ways to expand it through our public lands, programs like My Tree Our Tree, and public-private partnerships. To do this, we need better data. Knowing your resource is critically successful to planning for it. Collecting information on public trees to manage them as assets while also working on ways to collect tree information from private property. We need improved planting standards and a strategic tree planting plan that addresses neighborhoods in need. We need to incorporate urban forest concepts and standards for management and protection effectively into our long-term planning efforts. And Cary will be working to develop more advanced urban forestry programs to separate Cary from the pack. Second, quality is equally as important as quantity. This goal focuses on operationalizing a tree care program while focusing on sustainability, health, and resilience of our urban forest. Updating and improving our tree protection and natural resource conservation policy. And while Cary does have a good foundation for a tree care program, we need to strengthen and amplify it by engaging existing staff and resources and creating multiple-year work plans. Also focusing on managing our native forest ecosystems through an urban silviculture program with forest stand inventories and forest management plans for Cary-owned woodlands. And third, since 83% of Cary's tree canopy is on private properties and individual property owners have choices and preferences, a shared commitment can go a long way to attaining a healthy urban forest. This goal is focused on promoting policies and goals that enhance neighborhoods and address the needs and characteristics of their forested areas. It fosters partnerships with landowners, businesses, community groups, and local universities. Developing outreach and education programs for Cary residents to help actively manage their urban trees. And finally, having a mechanism to regularly measure impact of our management, the health of the urban forest, and support from citizens. So how do we track progress and measure success? The plan does include action steps to keep us on track, identifying higher priority actions that should be addressed early to be successful in the long term. We will use an approach of performance-based criteria and indicators that look at a town's trees, players, and management style. The tree resource includes quantifying relative canopy cover, the size, age, and equitable distribution of the trees, the condition of street trees and natural area trees, and the adequacy of soil space and volume to support large trees. Framework within the community. These are our players. Tracking community engagement where neighborhoods are active in their tree care process. Looking at cooperation and collaboration between town departments and other public agencies. Large private and institutional landowners are actually embracing the goals and strategies with their own management plans. Businesses and industry are working to advance our urban forestry goals. And there is good cooperation between neighboring communities, the county, and other regional partners. And finally, how the town approaches resource management. Is there a GIS-based tree inventory that is updated regularly? Do we have a comprehensive management plan in place? Staff is adequately trained and supported with necessary equipment. Is our funding dynamic and adequate to address both proactive and reactive maintenance needs? And we have internal tree care standards and procedures in place supported across multiple departments. And do we have a comprehensive and enforceable tree protection ordinance place based on community goals? This is a 10-year master plan, but we will be tracking progress of all of these factors and adjusting course if needed. With the support of the Environmental Advisory Board, staff recommends council approves the Urban Forest Master Plan. I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Very good comprehensive report. So first, I'd like to call on Jack Smith, since you're the liaison, for your thoughts and your comments.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, Dan and Leslie, thanks again for a wonderful presentation. It, kind of years in the making, and so there are special times when you sit up here, and it's just kind of neat to start seeing things kind of coalesce and come together. So thank you for all your efforts to make that happen, and to the staff. Yeah, it is important to me as liaison to the Environmental Board. But what's really important is what you just heard. This plan ensures that Cary will continue to strive for many generations to have a robust urban forest. As you went through those slides kind of quickly, one of the first things I think you said was we had 50% canopy. I don't think there's any place in the region or in the county that can match that. So, I think one of the lessons that a lot of people learned while we were going through this process is how much of the responsibility for the trees is with our citizens. 83% is with the citizens, and we're 17. But what we are stepping up to is to make sure that we are a resource and kind of that guiding light and that guiding fixture as we continue to grow. What was not mentioned in some of that is in a lot of discussion at the Environmental Board is how do we engage our HOAs, because we think that's an opportunity out there that can continue to grow. The reality is trees improve air quality, they reduce the urban heat islands that we have and continue overall to our well-being. And, I remember my first year on council. I know it was a while ago, but my very first year, I was put on, I was part of the celebration as we were in our 4th year with the national tree thing. And I got to plant a tree. Damn, that tree's 35 years old. It's big. It's a big tree. So when you look at those saplings, I remember that citizen earlier was talking at Public Speaks Out about a sapling. Hey, they grow fast in North Carolina. That's all I can tell you. They grow really fast here. So keep planting those saplings, each and every one of you. The EAB has been just wonderful over the years. Prior to me, I had some big shoes to fill. We had the leadership with Lori Bush was there, and the Environmental Board has done much, and many of the members were instrumental before you got here of getting this program going, and some were actually involved with the beginning stage of the plan. So a special thank you to the Environmental Board for all they do, and a special thank you for Mia South, our current chair, that helped shepherd this plan through with your help over the past couple of months. And without it all, a special thank you to all our citizens. We have an active community of people that care about the environment and care about trees. And let's face it, you have all these complex things about climate change and climate warming, but one of the easiest solutions is trees. Always keep it in the forefront. If you got that little corner on your property, don't give up on it. And if you got a kind of a lazy Sunday and you don't like the football game on, pick up a sapling, put it in, and just start planting. Every little bit we do is going to help us and help our environment. So again, thank you to the citizens who have helped stay involved, give feedback for this plan, and will continue to give feedback to the plan, because that's the way we do things in Cary. We constantly approve. I'm looking forward to the comments, but I would like to make the motion and that we approve this urban plan.
Very good. Comments from those at the table?
Is that your motion, or are you just saying you want to do it later?
You do it later.
I'll do it later.
Okay. I don't need to add anything. I'm very excited about this. Great work on behalf of our staff and our advisory board. I really appreciate all the contributions that have been made. So, excellent.
Other comments?
I would just add one thing that, this is probably one of the most important investment into the future. And this is going to help us give a very healthy planet to our kids. I think the more that we can do as part of the master plan, and personally we should, and I'm so excited to see how this is going to develop.
Wonderful. Ms. Craig, anything?
It's a very well laid out plan, and I'm happy to support.
Awesome. Ms. Bush?
Thank you. I want to first thank Councilmember Jack Smith for his leadership with the EAB. He's been a new Lorax. He speaks for the trees. So it's nice to have him as a leader on that and liaison on that board. The only thing I'd like to make a comment on is that this 55-page master plan is probably one of the best master plans I've ever read. Not only does it give you a background and a history of how we ended up where we are, but it also is full of information and a multi-pronged strategy on how we can increase our urban forest. And so if you haven't, for the citizens who might be listening, if you haven't had a chance to read it, it's a really good and easy read. And I particularly enjoyed that strategy section with the short, mid, and ongoing priorities. I also wanted to thank the environmental advocates out there. The EAB members are not just environmental advocates, but many of them are experts in their own right. And they not only supported this plan and gave early feedback, but when the final draft came, shockingly, and I don't ever remember this happening before, but they had no updates. And I think that's a real testament to the great work done by Leslie. So I'm really grateful to the work that she's done and absolutely support the furthering of where we will go.
Thank you. Ms. Con Johnson?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to share a thought. One of the speakers at the environmental symposium last fall said the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. And when I was reading through this master plan, nodding because yes, let's do all these things, it occurred to me that this is a plan really for the benefit of the folks 20 years from now and further on. So I just wanted to thank the team on behalf of my daughter for when she's middle-aged and living in Cary, that this will be a wonderful gift. And it's just really well done. And I was just so impressed on how comprehensive it was.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Cary Urban Forest Master Plan.
I would second that.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Mormon. Great report, great discussion by council. That concludes our agenda. I declare this meeting adjourned.